What's up, guys? Welcome into PTA. This is Clayton, joined alongside Tim in Green Bay. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, X, and Rumble here to talk Packers as we do each and every evening. If you're looking for daily Packers content, this is the place for you. Make sure you hit subscribe, hit like on your way in. I know the chat is already on fire. We got Tim in the house. We'll have Emilio possibly joining us here in a second, the newly married Emilio. Tim, do you think he's going to come in with a suit on or something? He's going to be all sophisticated now that he's no longer single.
He's probably going to have his hair a little messed up and probably not wearing a suit if he enjoyed his post-wedding celebration activities properly. So we'll see. You never know.
It would be hilarious if he hopped in here and all of a sudden it's like, all right, I got it locked down. Now I can be a complete slob. He come in here with no shirt on, have a towel on still, though. You know what I mean? Yeah, unbelievable. That guy, you never know what he's up to, man. So everybody in the chat, good to see everyone. Hit that like button on the way in. Appreciate y'all making us a part of your evening. Respect oranges, green and yellow tux, LOL.
Hey, there you go.
And not a normal looking green and yellow tux either, Tim. One like Dumb and Dumber. You know what I mean? You like get one of those that just kind of sticks out. So
we'll have to ask Jordan if she let him wear the cheesehead sombrero at the wedding or not. I didn't see any of those pictures. We'll have to find out, do some recon.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's dive into it, man. Let's waste no time. We got a lot to get to tonight, Tim. I'm excited about this show. Let's start off in the Patreon group here. We had several comments, several questions in the house here. So if you guys want to join our Patreon community, just go to patreon.com/PackerFan Total Access. Scan the QR code in the upper right. I'll send you to the same place. It's the best way to support what we do here at PTA. And it also acts as super chats where we got a questions for the show tab. Andy Monday says, I love the movie Miracle, which tells the story of the 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team. One of the Team USA chief high mucky mucks criticizes Coach Herb Brooks' roster for not including some of the best players. Herb replies, quote, I'm not looking for the best players. I'm looking for the right ones. Where do you see Goody doing this on Green Bay's roster? Or is that quote not really the way teams get constructed? Andy, I think there's some teams that don't construct teams that way. But the most successful head coach in the history of the NFL, it's exactly how he conducted building a roster. He was also the GM. You may have heard of him, Bill Belichick. They had a quote, a saying, and I believe they got it from Bill Walsh. I say they because it was him and Michael Lombardi and other front office executives that worked for Bill Belichick in New England and also Cleveland, but New England where all the success was. They say, we're building a team, not collecting talent. And it's funny, I'll tweet that sometimes when there's like a team building activity or something happens with the team where you can actually see where the players care about one another, right? And they got that true chemistry. I'll tweet that out. And people, it never fails. There's always somebody go, yeah, but you got to have talent. I went right over your head, Bob, right over your head. The whole point of that is you can have the most talented team on paper. Go back and you remember the year that, and I'm just kind of asking everyone in general here, there was a year where the Eagles went out and signed everybody. And they were calling them the Dream Team, right? I want to say this was like right around 2015 or somewhere around that time frame, and they fell flat on their face, right? Talent doesn't win ball games alone. Right. You've got to have a team. You've got to have an organization that is lockstep because the reality of the NFL is the competition is so close. The difference between the worst team in the league and the best team in the league is really, really close. So you got to have something to set yourself apart. And a lot of times these games come down to, we see it every week, guys. How many point spreads you see it's less than 3 points, right? So what's going to push you over the edge? I personally don't think it's one single player. I don't necessarily think it's a specific scheme that's constantly going to push you over the edge or over the top. But I think it's just a collection of everything. And one of the main components is when you're getting your ass kicked, when you got a bloody mouth and it's the fourth quarter and you don't know how you're going to line up, bend over for the next play, the next snap. Many times you get into this zone where you're playing for the guy next to you. Or you're playing for that position coach that's went to bat for you all year long and poured his guts out into you to try to make you a better player. That's where you kind of dig down a little bit. I know we got Bates in the chat who won the MAC giveaway last night. Bates is a Marine, right? Bates will tell you all about it. How do the Marines get through so many tough situations, being on the front line? I mean, they are, and I'm not trying to put them above any other branch of the military. That's not the point. I know there's going to be people in here going, hoorah, and others saying the Navy's better. And it's like, calm down, right? the point is what separates them is what they go through together on Paris Island, right? What they go through with training together and knowing, man, we've all been down in the muck together, right? And we're going to come out and play for one another. So I think that's a real thing. And I think that's kind of what he means there, Andy. I still have not seen Miracle. I'm not a huge hockey fan. I was when I was a kid. I need to go watch it, though. Tim, you get anything to add to that? I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I feel like that's a real thing, though, man. Again, we're not, we're building a team, not collecting talent.
Amen. Watch the movie, though, Clay. The patriotic American in you will love that movie, the story, and just a historic moment in American sports history there, and a great example of a team winning together, against insurmountable odds, really, to do it all. So I think it's great parallel comparison there from Andy, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And 2-0 for this jumps in. It says, I just logged into Clay talking about Marines, but no respect to the Air Force. Quote, the Air Force is cool. Michael Scott. So there you go. All right, next comment.
It is. I heard the Air Force is really cool. They all get the nice air-conditioned barracks and stuff. They live the good life. I think that's part of their standard duty issue. They get a personal air conditioner before they set up their ruck and their cot.
Yeah. When I had just turned 18, I know people don't want to hear these stories. It's boring, but when I had just turned 18 and I decided I wasn't going to play college baseball, couldn't afford half of the tuition that I was responsible for outside of the partial scholarship because we were broke. But my brother was like, he was in the Army, and he was like, man, you ought to think about joining the military. You'd be perfect for the military. Because I love that whole team. If you guys haven't caught on, I love the whole team environment, the team aspect, everybody working collectively towards a common goal and purpose. And he said, what he told me, I said, what branch would you think? And he's definitely Air Force. He was in the Army, but he said definitely Air Force. He's like, cushy. I'm like, all right. So there was a short time where I was thinking Army or Air Force, and obviously just decided to not do anything to help my country like the bum that I am. You know what I mean? So yeah, 2-0 for this.
I'm laughing at 2-0 for this.
It was a hard life, Tim. One dude's AC was out the day we got to deployment. He couldn't sleep until it was fixed the next day. Unbelievable.
I love it.
Yeah, next question here. If the NFL increases regular season games to 18 and reduces preseason games to 2, then would camp rosters get reduced from 90 since there will be even fewer games for players to make the active roster? And would regular season rosters increase since the number of games increases? Going from 17 to 18 is about a 6% increase. 6% above a 53-man roster is an additional 3 players. Andy, I love the way your mind fires. I have no reason to believe they would change the roster size because of an extra game, or change the whole 90-man cut down, whatever it is, like the cut down from a 90-man roster because there's one less preseason game. But you never know, man. I can see your point there. Maybe it could happen. I don't know. We should know here in 2 to 3 years, according to Adam Schefter, his prediction is an 18th game will get added somewhere around probably 2 or 3 years down the road. So Andy Monday went on to say, funny how this season schedule has the Packers playing the Bears twice over a 3-week span. We had talked about that. Really, really odd. A few other weird schedule happenings in Packers history. We played the Lions 5 times during the 1994 calendar year, January 2nd and 8th, November 6th, December 4th, and 31st. We played the Cowboys twice in the regular season in 1989. We won both. We played 5 consecutive divisional games in 1986 due to the players' strike. We didn't play the Bears at all in 82, and we played the Giants twice in 81. Really, really weird, man. Those strikes, Tim, they'll throw a wrinkle in everything. My goodness, man.
Yeah.
I can only imagine how everybody felt trying to make everything kind of that puzzle piece or that puzzle come together in pieces. Chris in the Patreon group said, I'd love to see a 60-man roster, Andy. A lot of good football players out there, and these owners can't afford it. Just add an additional $7 million to the annual team cap. So Chris is on board with it. And then we got a question here from Miss Jerry. She says, question and a suggestion. Please explain the stat yards over expected for receivers. What goes into that grade? Also, I think a fun chalk talk would be goal line stands. When our defense held great teams in the red zone last year, I think those are some of the most exciting moments for me. Tim, I'd be all about doing a chalk talk geared around just goal line situations. I know our boy Emilio is all about the red zone, but wouldn't that be a fun chalk talk? I'm going to look up the exact definition of the yards over expected, so I don't screw it up with the exact, like I said, description of it.
I think Jerry's correct here. I mean, really, a hybrid of both would be cool, because I know we had a few goal line stands last season, a couple key stops, but really just anything, inside that red zone area, shutting the door on teams, man. That would be a fun chalk talk for sure.
Mm-hmm. See, receiving yards over expected, and let's see exactly how it is determined. And essentially, what it is, guys, it's taking similar situations and kind of putting it in. You know, sometimes, Tim, you'll see somebody, they'll catch a pass where they're wide open in a little 2-yard flat, right? And they'll take it 60 yards. And, you know, what was actually expected from that play, that's how they kind of tally that up. But receiving yards over expected, also known as RYOE in football, refers to how many more or fewer receiving yards a player gains than what a league average player would be expected to gain in the same situation. It's a metric used to evaluate a receiver's ability to gain extra yards after the catch, going beyond what's statistically typical. So they've got this huge database over the history of however many years that they've been keeping up with yards over expected. And it kind of narrows it down, Tim, and Jerry, who asked the question here. It narrows it down to, okay, normally in this situation, a player gains this many yards. So what in this case, this player gained more or less. That's why you get that positive, like Christian Watson. Somebody said earlier that he had in the YouTube comments, they said he had, stone mittens for hands or something like that. And I'm like, you don't watch much Packers, man. And we know what they're looking at, Tim. They look at the catch rate. They look at, the completion percentage, all that stuff. But you don't take into consideration how far down the field he was being thrown to from time to time. And actually, like I pointed out to them, his catch rate over expected was like a plus 5%. Pretty darn good, right? Yep. So it's saying compared to what other players do, he actually exceeded what the expectations were. So hopefully that answers Jerry's question. You got anything to add to that, man?
No, I think that's spot on.
All right. Moving along, Greg S. says, on Bussing with the Boys, Matt LaFleur had an interesting reaction when Will and Taylor talked about how much they did. I'm assuming he's saying one-on-one with the Titans, 1-1. 1 versus 1 maybe is what he was saying there. Matt said he has never done this in practice with the Packers. They went on to describing that it's a drill that gets the juices flowing, and builds a competitive spirit because the entire team gets circled up and the coaches randomly call out player numbers to compete in the drill. So he's talking about 1v1 is what he's talking about. It will be interesting if he implements drills like this through training camp. Tim, I always thought those type of things were important. Like baseball practice, it's one thing to get up there and hit off the jugs machine when I was growing up. It's another thing when one of the assistant coaches gets up there and pitches BP. But when we go into a practice and they go, all right, we're going to line it up, rotation 1 through 4 with our starters, and the ace is on the mound throwing batting practice, and he's trying to make you look silly, that's where the iron really sharpens the iron. So,
yeah, I agree. Bring back the Oklahoma drill, right? No. I'm sure Matt will do that too. One of the things I've noticed just these past couple of years, being able to go to camp a little more regularly since I moved up here, you really see that early on. It's kind of, I don't want to say like lackadaisical or anything, but you kind of ease your way in through those first couple of days of camp. Really, you get to the meat and potatoes once you get past, family night. You kind of get into the middle of camp, and you will see Matt mix it up. I wonder if they're going to keep the tradition alive for the push-ups or the sprints. I don't know what they do for who the losing team of practice is that day, but Matt always does fun stuff with the guys just to keep them engaged. So I would assume we'll see that this summer.
Definitely. And again, Jerry, to answer your question one more time, receiving yards over expected, RYOE, in football refers to how many more or fewer receiving yards a player gains than what a league average player would be expected to gain in the same exact situation. Okay, like another example here, expected yards after the catch, or XYAC. This is the starting point. It's a calculation that uses player tracking data to determine how many yards a receiver should gain after making a catch based on factors like their speed, direction, acceleration, distance from defenders, and the presence of blockers, and you got actual yards versus expected yards. So essentially, yards over expected is exactly what it sounded like. What's a player expected to gain in this specific situation, and how well did they exceed that, or maybe where they fell short? So I'm glad you asked that question, because it's an important stat. I like some of those advanced metrics that we use throughout the year for sure. So, all right, Tim, you got anything you want to add to that before we move on to our first topic of the night? And thank you to everyone in the Patreon group. Appreciate y'all supporting the stream.
Yeah, no, that was great. That's why we have it, right? It's awesome to engage and kind of get the juices flowing. And so make sure you guys hit us up there. Keep leaving those comments and questions.
All right, boys and girls, let's get into, I don't know, I may need to apologize for that too. I don't know what's going on today. But anyway, let's get into the first topic of the day here. Is we got pay or cut. Now, listen, cut is a little bit, you're not looking to cut these players this year, but you're going to let them walk into free agency. But I thought this would be important, Tim, as we get ready to go into camp. You get rumors coming out during mini camp of this player is wanting more money. This player's in contract negotiation with the Packers. Just a quick refresher, as we're now 5 days away from quarterbacks reporting to camp, and then we're going to get everybody else filing in a few days later. These are 5 crucial Packers contracts expiring in 2025. So the Packers have some big bills coming due. That 2022 draft class, a group that has become absolutely essential to the team's success, is now facing contract reality. For players drafted outside the first round, 2025 is the final year of their rookie deals. For the first rounders, it's been decision time on their 5th-year option, creating different timelines. This means General Manager Brian Gutekunst is starting at 5 key players, 5 pending contract situations, and the hard truth that not everyone can get a blank check. All right. Green Bay has to decide who is part of the long-term core and who might be a luxury they have to let go. So who's a lock to get paid, who's playing for their future, and who could be on their way out of town. Today, we're breaking down each player, and I'll give you my verdict on whether the Packers should pay up or prepare to part ways. These are the kinds of decisions that make or break a championship window. Tim, let's start with the no-brainer right off the bat, Mr. Zach Tom, back up the Brinks truck, baby. And I literally titled it the no-brainer. All right. So, Zach Tom, let's start with maybe the easiest decision on the entire board. Right tackle Zach Tom comes in at number 1. This isn't really a question of if the Packers pay him. It's a question of how much it's going to cost them. Since getting picked in the 4th round, he has been an absolute home run, developing into one of the best young tackles in the entire league. He's shown his versatility all over the line, but he's found a home at right tackle, becoming arguably the most important player on offense, not named Jordan Love. People look at that, Tim, and they say he's not left tackle. Left tackle is more important. I'm telling you guys, the trend in the NFL is to put your best pass rusher over the right tackle now. So now what you're seeing are teams building up the right tackle spot, like Penei Sewell in Detroit. Obviously, Green Bay with Zach Tom was a home run. So right tackle, it falls right into that tier 1 for me now, Tim. Tackle in general, because it's funny to see how defensive coordinators have kind of bent their game plan around, hey, let's attack one of the weaker links in terms of the edge blockers there at tackle, and let's go after the right tackle. Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense, especially when you consider that week 1 matchup we're talking about, against Detroit to open up the season, man. Aiden Hutchinson coming back from injury or not is still a freak, and you feel really good having Zach Tom as your right tackle in a situation like that for sure.
Yeah, goes on to say the market for elite tackles is exploding. Just look at Penei Sewell's deal worth over $28 million a year. Tom is playing at that level. I repeat, he is playing at that level of Penei Sewell. Reports say the Packers are already having, quote, healthy conversations about an extension, and they need to get it done before his price tag gets even crazier. You simply cannot let a player this good at a premium position get anywhere near the open market. Tim, as you see here with the PFF grade with Zach Tom, no surprise, 68, 79, 85. And guys, last year, playing banged up all year long. That's the fact that he got that much better. And I know the Tom haters will go, how did he play against the Eagles? How did a lot of offensive linemen play against the Eagles, right? So, you would like to have seen him had his best performance in the most important game. But to me, man, it does not reduce the value of Zach Tom because he had that bad game against Philly. This guy is an ascending player. He's one thing I love about him too, Tim, is he is at all practices, all mini camps. He's not in there going, I want my money. They're having their negotiations behind the scenes, and he's just going out there and going to work every single day.
Yep. He's definitely one of those guys that you know, as long as the offer is in the wheelhouse, he's going to be happy, right? I don't think he's expecting, you know, anything astronomical, but he does deserve to get paid and handsomely, and I think the Packers are going to do right by him and get it done.
Yeah. Speaking of getting paid handsomely, we got Emilio in the house. Emilio, did you sign that prenup?
That's it. That one got lost in the shuffle for sure. Yeah, right.
All right, man. I just want to say congratulations, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, congrats, brother.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Glad you both got to meet her. You know,
Yeah.
she's amazing. She's the rock, right? And now I get to join in on the get to go save my marriage, right? So
Yeah.
I'm starting that early though. I don't know if I want to start right away. Maybe I save that one for like a year in. I don't know.
All I'm saying is just keep building up credit every chance you get. Keep building up. If you walk into that kitchen and you see that trash can and it ain't quite full, it's almost there, take the damn trash out.
Take it out.
Especially if it smells bad, man. It's got to go.
Get it out of here. So
the problem is I'm using up a little bit of that playing a little college football in between, Clay. So it's like I got to really be careful using up too many points.
People watching this video that we're going to edit out later going, I thought we were talking about Zach Tom. We're just talking about marriage. Welcome to PTA. This is what happens. All right.
Appreciate everybody in the chat as well. Thank you all. Appreciate it. Missed everybody as well, man. Glad to be back.
United Bates with the super chat says, shout out to Carrie Kapler in the chat. That's my mama Dukes. I'm recruiting PTA followers. LOL. Thanks, Bates. The check is in the mail, sir. Check is in the mail. We're gonna put Bates on commission pay here for bringing followers in. But welcome in, Carrie and Bates. Thank you so much for the super chat, bud. We appreciate you. All right, back to Zach Tom. Let's look at the market value here real quick. The calculated market value for Zach Tom, $21.7 million. And when you look at the comps, the comparable players, Penei Sewell, Jonah Williams, Spencer Brown, and Jawan Taylor. Okay, when you factor in everything in terms of the length of their contracts, the value of their contracts, the average salary, and the age in which they signed those said deals, you get an average of 4 years, $73.5 million, and an average salary of $20.2 million, and the average age when signed was 25. Okay, so the base calculated value on those comps is 4 years, $75.3 million. Average salary of 18.8. You're going, hey, that don't sound too bad. Tom gonna get more than that. All right, let's move along here. Statistical comparisons. All right, Penei Sewell played 100% of the snaps. Jonah Williams 100% of the snaps. Spencer Brown 93.9% of the snaps. Jawan Taylor 100% of the snaps, or games played, I should say. It means they were healthy for all the games, right? That average comes to 98.4. Zach Tom's average in terms of being available is 97%. So he's losing minus 1.45% change there. Okay. Quarterback hurries allowed. Penei Sewell 1.4, 1.9, 1.06, an average of 1.3. Zach Tom 1.4. So that's a minus 4.44 on that column. Quarterback sacks allowed. All right. Going down, let's just talk about the average. The average of those four comp players, 0.33. Zach Tom, 0.15. So he gained some there, right? 54.55 gain. And then the rating that comes out for those four players on average is 66.15. And Zach Tom's is 82.70 for a positive net gain of 25.02. So essentially, you got a median prime percentage change of 11.7% and an average prime percentage change of 18.4%. What that's going to do is land you into calculated market value for Zach Tom at 4 years, $86.7 million, or an average annual salary of $21.6 million. My verdict, fellas, pay Zach Tom his monies, all right, and get it done yesterday. Lock him into a long-term deal and keep Jordan Love's protector in green and gold for the long haul. And boy, oh boy, is it nice knowing he can play all five positions on the offensive line, too. You guys agree, disagree? What's your take on Zach Tom?
Pay that man his money.
You say it way better than me. Way better.
Pay him his money. Get it done.
Please pay him. I know you were talking about it the other day. I got listening a little bit, but you know, what if he gets paid at that right tackle money now? In 3 years, he does end up sliding to center. We figure out what we want to do at tackles, and then you have him at probably a decent center price at that time. You know, 3 years down the road, once the NFL gets all that TV money, we're not going to be mad at 20. We're not going to be mad at even 25. Honestly, if he gets it at 25, I don't think we're going to be mad in 2 years about where he is paid wise.
Completely agree. Ed Madden says pay Zach Tom Now, I haven't seen anybody say don't pay Zach Tom, so I think we're all pretty much in agreement. So let's move on to number 2 on the list, and this is where things get very interesting. The first round dilemma, Quay Walker. All right. Next up is inside linebacker Quay Walker, one of the Packers' 2 first-rounders from 22. Walker's situation is fascinating. From day one, he's been a tackling machine. You see the sideline-to-sideline speed and flashes of good play that made him a first-round pick. But you also see the moments of inconsistency that still leave you wanting more. The Packers showed their hand this past offseason when they declined to pick up his expensive fifth-year option. Now, that number was inflated because of the CBA quirk grouping Walker, who is a stack backer, in with outside linebackers in the 34 defenses, inflating the fifth-year option number. But it still sends a clear message. I want to say this. If they had 34 outside linebackers grouped in with defensive linemen and just had stack backers alone, there's a chance they would have picked up that fifth-year option. I don't know the exact number. I just know it's significantly less than edge rushers, right? So I think there's a chance they would have picked it up, which kind of makes me think they're pressing into probably re-signing Quay. But again, this is my opinion. I want to get your all's opinion here in a second. Brian Gutekunst said publicly he wants Walker here long-term, but by declining the option, they've officially put him in a contract year. They're challenging him to become that consistent game-changing leader in the middle of Jeff Hafley's new defense. Now, PFF isn't everything, but PFF says he's been cheeks. They said 52, 58, 57 since he's been in the league. All right. Now, unlike offensive linemen, guys, where we look at offensive line grades and go, boy, everybody's grading out bad in the run blocking game, and our running backs are just tearing it up. PFF probably don't know what the hell they're doing with the run blocking grade, right? With linebackers, you've seen Edgerrin Cooper grade out 85, right? And Quay Walker coming in at 57.2, obviously, this year. So here's my verdict on Quay. Pay ... but with an asterisk. All right. I'm taking the easy way out here. If Walker puts it all together this season and performs like a top tier linebacker, you hand him the long-term deal with less guarantees, giving you an out sooner than normal. So even though he just did it for 1 year, you're kind of covering your bases, but like we talk about, a 4-year deal that's really a 2-year deal, right? Or maybe even a 3-year deal that's really a 1-year deal. Kind of go lean on that side of things. If the inconsistencies continue, the contract has to reflect that. This is a classic prove-it year for a former first-round pick. I want to get your all's take. I'll start with Emilio. Emilio, what do you think about Quay? Would you be willing to pay him top stack backer money? Would you say more along the lines of what I just said, less guaranteed money? Although he may say no and hit free agency, and with that versatility and his unique athletic ability, whether PFF thinks he's good or not, whether he's actually good at playing football or not, someone's going to pay him big money for that athletic, those traits. We know the NFL pays for traits for sure.
Yeah, and that's where I'm kind of hung up because, we correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't we give Eric Stokes his 5th year, right?
Eric Stokes. We did not.
Okay, so we have seen a first rounder that hadn't gotten his 5th year. Quay didn't get his 5th year as well, but they're in talks of paying him. I've kind of always been on the side of pay him, though I know he doesn't grade out well, but I do think he's the heart of that defense. There's a lot of speed there. We saw it when Eric Wilson hopped in, sure, but how consistent was that? And Eric Wilson is up in age, so I mean, I think with age, speed, he comes from a strong program. I've always kind of been on that camp. I still think I would say pay him. He can't get top stack backer because at some point I think Cooper's going to have to get that money. But if Quay understands, where he's at in his role, he knows that he hasn't been kind of at his peak yet. Hey, pay him decent, get him on there. If he can show it out in the next 3 years, perfect. If not, all right, we gave it a shot. You gave Coop enough time to keep growing, get his feet under him for a second, third year. And then, okay, if you're ready to take Quay's spot, let's take it and let's slide Quay off to the side and, rebuttal. We're going to maybe take 2-3 shots at backer that year whenever we're ready. Maybe Tyron Hopper turns it up, whatever. But I think until then, the way we're kind of leaning, I feel a lot better about Quay out there than McDuffie. Nothing against McDuffie. I just need a little bit more speed out there. And Hopper's just not ready yet. So I still think I'm on pay him.
All right, Tim.
You guys know I'm a Quay Walker fan, so of course I'm going to say it.
That's why I made you go last, Tim. I knew what your answer was going to be.
Of course I'm going to say it. I know that there's probably a lot of people that think, hey, he hasn't shown it by now, let him walk. His development's been a little up and down, but I still think he's a high ceiling dude. I think he's maybe a late bloomer, but certainly would not disagree with the fact that this is a make or break year for him. at least for his, future with this football team and, maybe the rest of what his career looks like in the NFL period. So I am in the camp of, prove it your deal for sure.
Got it.
And I think if there's a little bit of upside, like if he looks a little bit better and it shows that he's continued to make progress, I think they will do that to keep him in the fold here. But I mean, he's been put on alert, right? Just like we did with Stokes, not taking the options. So, as a first round pick, man, he's gotta prove it this year for sure.
Let's see what the chat says here. They said, I've got a good feeling. This is too old for this. I've got a good feeling about Quay. Year one, he was battling his demons and has grown since. I think he will have a good year. I agree with all that, and here's the thing too, like one of the reasons why I'm kind of like, you know what, if you could pay him a little more of an incentive base rather than, fully guaranteed money. You started to see a glimpse of it last year when he, before he got hurt. It was like, okay, I think it's starting to click with Quay. And again, the 57.2 is so low because he was inconsistent. But there were a few games there where it was like, if we get that Quay Walker, hey, him and Adrian Cooper together is going to be absolutely awesome. So completely get what he's saying.
He's been on the field a lot too. Like, I mean, he got hurt a little bit last year, but consistency wise, he has not been a problem for us being out there and actually, being at least available for this defense.
Yeah. H.E. Soder says, you let Walker walk, huh? Doubt the money will work given the production. Also, Cooper may let you get away with cheaper talent at the other linebacker spot. And, that's really what it comes down to is if Hopper can play just as good as Quay, he's a third-round pick.
I was just going to say Hopper's the outlier, right? It really says more about Tyron Hopper. Like if he takes a huge step this year and Quay kind of doesn't or stays the same or regresses, then, Soder's got a really big point here. Of course, this is all in an ideal situation where nobody's hurt. I mean, linebackers get hurt all the time. So I don't know if I'm willing to just let Quay walk just yet.
No, got it. Ed Madden says, could Hopper replace Quay if they can't reach an agreement? That's the hope. I mean, he's a third-round pick. Evan Williams was a fourth-round pick last year. He's a starter, right? Zach Tom, we just talked about him breaking the bank, fourth-round pick, starter. How many do we have to point out, to go, okay, at some point we've got to start accepting the fact that, listen, a third-round pick, you don't just draft them to sit on the bench and play special teams.
Right.
I'm not saying you force them out there, and you darn sure don't want to try to convince yourself that a player is better than they are just because their draft status. However, in an ideal situation, I know Tim don't want to hear this, and listen, I love Quay's stature, like 6'4", 241. This dude looks like a monster, and he's got the athleticism to do anything you need a stackbacker to do. It's just the processing hasn't clicked. Like you've seen Adrian Cooper as a rookie step in, and he could process so fast. And not everybody plays the same way. But if Hopper were to prove he's better than Quay, yes, let Quay walk, and he'll go get the bag somewhere else. He'll probably get over $10 million somewhere else. The number I've got is somewhere between $7-8 million per. With, like I said, you being able to get out of it after 2 years, I'd be okay with that. I think that's money well spent. But when you get 10, 12, 13 million per, just can't do it. Can't do it for Quay. United Base says, I still think Quay is going to excel playing alongside of Coop. I can see them being dangerous together. I mean, they're two physical freaks. There's no doubt about that.
Yep.
Holmes MD1 says Quay would get 10 average per year at stack. I don't know if he was talking about what it would have been with the fifth-year option or if he's just saying in general. But I agree, on the open market, he would get over 10 per. Now, that can be manipulated a little bit, right? You get a contract that's 10 years per, and then you look up and he gets cut after 1 year because the guaranteed money was $6 million or something. You know what I mean? Like that. Right. It gets a little tricky with the contractual aspect. So, anything else on Quay, boys?
No.
Good. All right, let's move it along here. Number 3, the ultimate gamble, Christian Watson. All right, there's no more high-risk, high-reward player on this list than wide receiver Christian Watson, and it creates a truly tough situation for the front office. The reality is simple. When Christian Watson's on the field, the Packers' offense is different. It's more explosive, it's faster, and it's a nightmare for opposing defenses. That combination of size and speed is a rare commodity, but the unavoidable issue has been his availability. Watson's career has been plagued by injuries, culminating in a devastating torn ACL at the end of the 24 season. He has yet to play a full, healthy season, and you just can't give top-tier money to a player you can't rely on to be on the field. This puts the Packers in a real bind. Do you bet on the game-changing talent, or do you protect yourself from the significant risk? And when you look at the PFF grades, guys, his rookie year, 77.1.
Yeah.
I think we forget that. That's the ceiling so far, which, in my opinion, that's borderline wide receiver 1 top performance there. 20, he drops to a 68, and then last year, before he got hurt, he rebounded to a 70. So what you're looking at is, I mean, that's a pretty consistent grade there when you think about it. So verdict, I said patch deal. Let me explain. A massive contract right now is just too big of a gamble until Watson proves he can return from the ACL with no limitations. The logical path forward is a short-term incentive-laden prove-it deal. It gives Watson a chance to prove he can stay healthy and reestablish his market value while giving the Packers some much-needed financial protection. If Watson picks up right where he left off in 24, averaging 21.4 yards per reception, that was second best in the entire NFL, only behind Alec Pierce, then he is worthy of number 1 wide receiver cash. The goal would be to lock him up as soon, and I mean as soon as they have answers to the knee questions to minimize overall cost. So for me, it's real simple. You'd like to wait until he returns, get 2 or 3 games under his belt, and you go, he ain't missing a lick. Let's get this deal done. You know, I just don't know if it's going to be that easy, because from Christian's side, from his camp, Tim, if the dominoes fall that way, he's going to go, okay, I know I'm good to go, and I'm about to break the bank on the open market. So it's not like he's just going to go, I love Green Bay. Here, I'll take less money, right? He's got bills to pay too. Emilio knows all about that, being married now. But go ahead.
No, seriously, I agree 100% with this verdict here, Clay. I think this is it's spot on, and I do think there's a soft spot in Scoot's heart for Green Bay, obviously, being that we drafted him, and he loves playing here. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's a business, right? And you want to get your money, but he also knows that he has to prove it, right? He's coming off of a serious injury, major injury. So I'm with you, Clay. Hopefully he's back sooner than later. He's already looks like he's ahead of schedule. So, we were originally thinking November, I believe, was the early timeline. Looks like it could be sooner than that, hopefully. And the sooner he gets back and the sooner we can see what he looks like at full game speed, like to your point, the better we'll be able to make that final decision.
Yeah, I think it's got to be a pay him. We can't go crazy with it. I don't think that he will, and I think that he also kind of wants to get that top dollar money too. So right, he wouldn't want to sign something where he's locked in for 5 years at 10 or 12 million, and then he goes and blows up for the next 3 years, and we got a screaming deal, and Christian Watson's like, where's my money? So I don't think they're going to put him into that pickle, but I do think that we still need to keep him around. I think there's that much potential there that you can't kick this to the curb yet.
Yeah. Let's go to the chat, see what everybody's saying. Ed Madden says, Watson, I really hope he can stay healthy, dynamic, and just seems like a team-first guy. And that goes a long way, too. And there's precedent for that. We talked about Kenny Clark, right? He had underperformed. They gave him a huge contract extension. And you guys heard me say over and over and over, well, he is a locker room guy. That stuff matters. We can't sit here and pretend this isn't Madden where it's okay. No, his rating is 1 point less, so I'm going with the higher guy. No. You're talking about personalities. You're talking about a locker room full of all types of different personalities, egos, not necessarily in a bad way, ultra competitive. You need those glue guys. You need those guys to help hold the locker room together for sure. 2-0 for this says, don't tell Minnesota Vikings GM you can't pay unreliable players top dollar. He's doing it all the time, ain't he? I'm eager to see how the Vikings do this year, man, because the way they're talking about J.J. McCarthy, like, if he falls flat on his face, oh, my gosh, it's going to be lovely. Soder says, hey, Watson didn't have a hamstring in 24. I can't tell if you're being sarcastic or not, Soder, there with the text, but it's true. That was a real issue, and they got it straightened out,
Yep.
Blake B says, give me Scoot on a prove-it deal in 26 and pay him the next year if he balls out. That, Blake, if he would agree to that, I'm completely on board. I think you guys probably are too, right?
Yeah.
Like that would
be
best.
Keyword, if he would agree to it, right?
Yeah. 2-0 for this says, after seeing 22's practice tape talking about Matthew Golden, the thought of Watson and Dobbs on the same line is electric. And see, I see it a little bit different 2-0 for this. What I want to see is Watson, Golden, and Reed together. I think that's going to be must-see TV there. Must-see TV. Rod in the chat says, hello, Christian. Would hate to see him leave, but like job availability is key. Rod, you're 100% spot on, man. I mean, it's a real.
Goody's got to be looking to the future, thinking,
oh yeah,
he doesn't want to go through this again with anybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. He's got to be looking right now at that roster and going, all right, if we hit on Golden, we hit on Savion, we got Wicks for 2 more years. We've seen what Wicks can do his rookie year. You got Jaden Reed under contract for 3 years. Like, he's looking at it in those terms. So he's probably going to go to Watson with a 1-year prove-it deal or a low overall number. Probably give him 2 options. Here's a 4-year extension with way less guaranteed money to protect us if the knee isn't healthy, or a 1-year prove-it deal to get him back, and let's find out if it makes sense. Now, there's a little bit of precedent for that, too. If you guys will remember, that's how they did Jordan Love. Jordan Love did the team a favor when he signed that 1-year extension.
That's very true.
So there's a little bit of precedent there. Solder says Watson, Golden, and Williams give them so much speed at wide receiver, flexibility that they have not had in forever at wide receiver in those 3. Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. Anything else on Watson, boys?
No.
All right.
Need speed. Pay him.
We're going to move it along. We're going to move it along to the next guy. But before we do, that's going to do it for hour 1. For those of you who are listening on the podcast, we appreciate you more than you know. We'll see you on the other side for hour 2. We're going to get into number 3 on maybe number 4 on this list. Yeah, I'm from Kentucky, man. I can't count, but we'll see you on the other side. We appreciate you.
For those of you listening on the pod,
welcome into hour 2. Not sure why you're here, but we appreciate you. All right, moving along to number 4 on the list, Mr. Reliable, kinda, Romeo Doubs. Okay, so Romeo Doubs.
I just caught the ball, man.
Now we get to the other receiver from that 22 draft class, Romeo Doubs. In a lot of ways, Doubs is the antithesis of Christian Watson. He might not have that rare top-end speed that drops your jaw, but he's reliable on third downs. He's become one of Jordan Love's most trusted targets, a guy who just has a knack for getting open and making the clutch catches that move the chains. He's now heading into the final year of that 4-year rookie deal he signed in 22. The discussion around Doubs isn't about his talent. It's about his ceiling, availability, having dealt with concussions and a suspension, and how much you pay a rock-solid but maybe not game-breaking number 2 or 3 receiver, especially in a deep receiver room. But in the NFL, availability and trust are valuable skills in their own right. So PFF-wise, Romeo Doubs, since he came in the league, 62, 73, 69. Pretty solid PFF grades. Now, he doesn't have the traits that Christian Watson has, obviously. He's more of your boundary X that can play in a phone booth. He's not going to stretch the defense much. He'll make contested catches. And we can't overlook the fact that he did get suspended, right? And he had 2 concussions last year. That's going to play a role in this whole decision as well. So when I looked at the calculated market value, here are his comps. Now, listen to the names and tell me if you want to sign Romeo Doubs to, basically what it comes down to is, would you be willing to sign one of these players instead of Romeo Doubs? Because that's what the comps are saying his value is at, $11.9 million. The comps are Alan Lazard, Gabriel Davis, A.J. Osborne, and Christian Kirk. All right. They all got 4-year, $44 million, 3-year, $39 million, 1-year, $4 million for KJ Osborne. That's a steal right there. 4 years, $72 million for Christian Kirk. All right, statistical comparisons. If you're sitting there thinking, no, Dobbs way better than those guys, this is why we came up with the comps. Okay, game played percentage. Alan Lazard, 88, Gabriel Davis, 96, KJ Osborne, 97, Christian Kirk, 93, an average of 94. Receiving targets per game, all right? Their 4 average came out to 5.41 receiving targets per game. Receptions per game, their average came out to 339. Receiving yards per game, their average came out to 45.1. Receiving touchdowns per game, 0.38. Yak per game, 13.4. Drops per game, 0.26. And rating of 65.08. Now, when you look at Dobby, game play percentage is about 6% lower than the 4-player average, right? So that's a minus 6.1 net loss there. Receiving targets per game, he's slightly better at a 5.6 as opposed to a 5.4. He's slightly better in receptions per game at 3.5 rather than 3.9. Receiving yards per game, he is at 42.5. They were at 45.1, so he loses roughly 6% there. Receiving touchdowns per game, he's at a 0.40. They're at a 0.38, so he gains a little bit. Yaks per game, he loses a little bit. Actually, he loses a lot, a minus 30.8 there with only 9.3 yak per game, and their average is 13.4. Drops per game, he's at 0.33. They're at 0.26. And then, of course, the rating comes out to a 65.08. His rating, a 69.1. So essentially what you've got is a median prime percentage change of minus 1.32, an average prime percentage change of minus 6.38. So I know there's people going, Dobbs is better than those guys. All of the comps suggest he's not. And I know that's kind of tough for us as Packer fans who love Romeo Dobbs to accept, but those are the numbers. Numbers don't care about my feelings, your feelings, anybody's feelings, you know. So essentially what you got is a calculated market value of 4 years, $47.7 million at 11.9 annual. My verdict is pass. All right. Dobbs isn't going to break the bank. His consistency and chemistry with Jordan Love have been vital to the offense. He's earned a second contract, and it should be at a fair market price, reportedly at $11.9 million per year. But I would rather give that contract to Christian Watson once he's proven his recovery from knee surgery, while moving forward with Jaden Reed, Matthew Golden, and Savion Williams. So I'm out on Dobby at $11.9 million. I want to know what the chat thinks, and we'll go around the horn here. Emilio, you go first. How do you feel about Dobby at $11.9 million?
Yeah, at $12 million for him, it's kind of tough. The only thing holding on to me that would maybe say pay him would be his connection with Jordan Love, just how much they've worked together. How, if Jordan Love says, hey, I really want him here, maybe they work something out. Maybe they get him in at 8 or 9, but at 12, I don't know. And I have to see it this year. I mean, if he can stay healthy this year, all right, let's talk about it. But I just feel bad about the concussions. If those come back, that could be an issue. The only thing holding them here is that connection with Jay Love that I think that you may pay a little bit extra for if your quarterback really wants him. But right now, I think I would have to pass on that.
Yeah. Tim, what do you think, Bob?
Oh, I hate this. Because, Rome's my dude. I'd like to see him stay, but when you talk numbers like this, we saw this coming years ago, right? We knew we weren't going to be able to keep him and Scoot. It was going to be a one or the other scenario at a certain point. And now with, Matthew Golden and Savion Williams in the fold, I personally think we're going to see Tay Wicks take a step forward this year. We talk about Jaden Reed. We've got talent in this room. So I think I'm going to have to reluctantly agree with you now, unless, Rome's willing to, take slightly below market value to stay in Green Bay.
Right.
But I think I'm with you, Clay. I think you're going to have to pass. I mean, basically that's what it is. It's between him or Scoot.
Right.
And despite him being one of my favorites, man, it's just going to be tough to keep him at that cost.
It's also like, which injuries are you more,
right,
willing to deal with, right? Rather than, are you okay with, a second reoccurred concussion? Or are you okay with a couple freaks that Christian has had? And, who do you think is going to be growing after those injuries? I still would put my money on Scoot right now.
Yeah, that's me. Fair. If Romeo is the only one up for a contract, I might feel a little different. But yeah, I'm choosing Christian over him personally. And I love the dynamic of, Christian Watson can do things that Romeo Dobbs can't, right? Matthew Golden can do things, if he pans out, that Romeo Dobbs can't. I'm talking about the speed, right? The thing that Romeo does well is he plays in the phone booth, right? He's got good route running, probably I wouldn't say very good, but good route running ability. And I think he's very good in contested catches. Now you see the drops, like that's a little bit of an issue here, right? The drops per game. Compared to those other players that we were all rolling our eyes at, Alan Lazard, Gabriel Davis, KJ Osborne, and Christian Kirk. I mean, none of us are going, wow, those are great players.
Right.
The reality is Romeo Dobbs had a bigger drop issue than those guys on average. That's what the numbers suggest. Now, depending on where you get the numbers from, but you guys get the gist, right? So for me, it's press into Christian Watson, give him the deal, let Romeo walk. I want to see Christian Watson. I want to see Jaden Reed. I want to see Matthew Golden on the field. And then you let Tay Wicks and Savion battle it out for that backup F, backup X, And of course, Z, you can move those starters around a little bit, kind of fill that role. So 2-0 for this in the chat says Dobbs is my favorite player on the roster, not named Jordan Love. Tim, I could feel the anxiety in your sigh because we both love Romeo Dobbs. I love the quiet type like that. Like the dude is kind of a little bit awkward where it's like you could tell he's not comfortable around people. I would much rather have that than someone who's just always out there in front of a microphone trying to give somebody a soundbite, you know?
So true. And he's a total pro when he's inside the facility, man. Real good work ethic, laser focused. And you see him come out of his shell a little bit. If you guys make it up to camp this year, you keep your eye on 87. I mean, when he's out there with his teammates, it's a whole different story. Yeah, you're right. He's not the most boisterous guy or whatever, and he's pretty shy when he's off the field. But when you see him doing his thing, man, there's a lot of reasons to respect him. And it's sad. He is one of my favorite receivers on this team. But it is a business at this level, and tough choices have to be made. And I think we might be right with this one. It might be time to move on.
There you go. Blake B in the chat says concussions with Rome scare me, as do they with me, man. United Bates, I'm a Dobbs fanboy, so got to support him, LOL. So Bates is right there with us, Tim. Ed Madden, Dobbs has reliable hands and chemistry with Love. That chemistry is a real thing. There's no two ways about that.
Like I said, that's what's hanging me up. And the other, looking at Alan Lazard, Christian Watson can step down into the wing and dig him out. Like Lazard, we don't see Dobbs doing that all the time. Right. Not that he can't, but it's just not something that we ask him to do. He just doesn't have the body for it.
Right. Rod in the chat says, I personally like Dobbs. Mr. Reliability is 100% accurate. He's not speedy, but he catches everything. Concussions and his personal problems are concerning, though. Great number 2 at best. And again, it's one of those things where you'll overpay for great. You won't overpay for good, but overpaying for great is talking about a number 1 receiver, right? A great number 2 is a good number 1, or maybe even above average number 1. You don't want to overpay for that, So I think that was very well said there. Rod in the chat, we hit that one right. Deadfish says, I'm with Dobbs against the players you listed, but we are deep at wide receivers, so we may want to let him go. It does feel like we got a little bit of depth in that wide receiver room. Solder says, love Dobbs, but I don't want anything to do with the concussion history. In the end, it's still a game played for entertainment. Yeah, it's going to be tough for him because, listen, last year he got the escalator where he made over $3 million. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend like, he's set for life now. You know what I mean? Like you want to see yourself get that second contract. So whether he's in Green Bay or not, I think Dobby's going to chase that second contract, at least get one more deal. And if the concussions continue to happen, then he's going to walk away, I would imagine. Blake B says someone else will give Rome 12 per. I completely agree. Someone else gave Christian.
Probably Pittsburgh.
Yeah, what did they give Christian Kirk? 4 years, $72 million, $18 million average, right? Gabriel Davis, which I think Gabriel Davis is a good receiver, me personally. I believe he is. But that Christian Kirk, if somebody's willing to give Christian Kirk that kind of money, somebody will give Romeo 12 per. There's no doubt about it. And then Blake B says, just got to enjoy 25 while we have all these guys around. Hope it's an epic season. That's another thing too, guys, is you're going to get these guys at their best. They're playing for their contracts. They're playing for that next deal, whether it's in Green Bay or not. So you're going to get a highly motivated Romeo Dobbs. The problem is if we start to try to work in other receivers in his place, that seems to be what upset him last year, right? And, I was thinking about this. I don't want to come down too hard on Romeo, but I also don't want to come down too hard on the organization. But you guys remember when we covered Sean Ryan missed his escalator by what was it like?
2 snaps or something?
Yeah, something crazy.
Like 2 or 3 snaps. Now, timeout, rewind. What did Romeo Dobbs say when he got suspended? He skipped practice and everything, right? He said, I'm trying to do what's best for my family. And then what did we see the rest of the year? Dontavion Wicks, they force-fed the ball to Dontavion Wicks. So it kind of feels like maybe, and listen, cue up the conspiracy music. Maybe they were trying to stay away from that escalator with Dobby and save $2 million, $3 million, really. Does that make sense? That's a real thing that happens in the NFL. So it all kind of makes sense now, And I don't blame Dobbs. Hold up a minute. You guys see me tracking to get this bonus, and this is strictly speculation, guys. Please don't take this the wrong way. I'm just kind of thinking out loud. If I'm in Dobbs' shoes and I see I'm on track for an escalator, right? And then all of a sudden they come out, the week that I'm set to hit it or closing in on it, right, at the pace I'm going, and they go, hey, look, we're going to change things up. we want to try Dontavion at the X. Dobbs, you're going to come in off the bench. Let's assume that conversation happened. I would be mad too. I'd be like, hold up a minute. You're literally trying to take money out of my pocket here, you know? And I don't think anybody's going to stand on the table and vouch for Dontavion Wicks as if he has better hands than Romeo Dobbs. We seen last year he doesn't, you know? So I don't know if all that makes sense or not, but that didn't expect it to go down that road, but here we are.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there, Clay. It's kind of tough.
Yeah. Yep. All right, moving along. Number 5, Zayfam in the chat. We got the wild.
No, he's watching Pat Mahomes highlights right now.
I thought you were going to say Pat Mahomes bootleg vacation film of him with his shirt off on a yacht or something. Anyway, the wild card, Malik Willis. Finally, we have the wild card of the group, backup quarterback Malik Willis. The Packers traded for Willis right before the 24 season, giving up just a late round pick to bring in a former third round selection from that same 22 draft class. After his time in Tennessee didn't work out, Willis came to Green Bay as a low-risk reclamation project. I think I'm saying that right.
Yep.
All the physical tools you could want in a modern quarterback, a live arm and elite athleticism. Again, that was a 7th-round pick we traded for him. He's now the established quarterback 2 behind Jordan Love, and 2025 is the final year of his rookie deal. The question for the Packers is pretty straightforward. What is the long-term plan for the most important backup position on the roster? Has Willis shown enough to prove he can be the steady hand if Love were to miss time? Or do they let him test free agency and bring in a different player to compete for that roster spot? As you guys can see, in Tennessee, 51 PFF grade. Then he falls to a 45. He gets with Matt LaFleur, 70.3. And I love how Matt LaFleur just literally molded the game plan in week 2 and 3 to fit Malik Willis perfect. Me and Emilio seen it firsthand in Nashville. Malik Willis looked so comfortable in that game plan they put together. If I remember correctly, too, I want to say it was kind of a short week for him, too.
He only was there for like 2 weeks, I think.
Barely.
Like, I mean,
you got to think they went into that, and Matt probably was like, "Hey, what do you feel comfortable running? What sets do you like? What kind of looks do you like? Let's put together a game plan tailored around our quarterback because he's our starter, like out of the clear blue sky due to unfortunate circumstances." And I think it's a testament to not only Malik Willis and what he brings to the table, but Matt LaFleur and his ability to just grab a new quarterback and put him right into the lineup there and secure some wins for us. It was great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, just having that speed is a key factor. So it's like you have that in your back pocket. You have somebody that you have to commit to being able to run the ball, and then it's something else that the defense has to worry about, right? So having that as a backup is perfect. It's also a change of pace backup compared to Jordan Love. Not exactly the same guy. So you can, and if Matt has that, and all right, now we have that in the bag for this year, you have Malik Willis as a change of pace. We can bring that in. If you do go down, all right, we already know what offense we're going to be running with him, and he's totally fine with it. He can throw the play actions. He can run read options. I like having Malik there. I think it's going to be kind of tough, to almost not keep him, but he's going to have to go get his money.
Yeah. And he could go somewhere else and compete for a starting job at a handful of other teams.
Right. Absolutely.
Hilarious, man. The chat is just absolutely on fire tonight. Let's go to it real quick. H.E. Soder says Taylor Elgersma is the backup quarterback solution. Listen, what he did in Canada is pretty wild. Like he put up some crazy numbers. Again, if we're just going to thrust him into the backup role, though, I don't feel comfortable about him.
That's your QB1 during the preseason, baby. Let's go. I can't wait to see those reps.
AFAM in the chat says, open the whole chunk printing press for Malik. Imagine that, right?
Imagine that.
As somebody says here, 2-0 for this says, haha, speak Willis, and AFAM shows up. There it is. Just popped into the chat, right? Blake B says, Elgersma, do we have to pay tariffs on his contract?
Dang.
Absolutely awesome. What a job. You win the night, sir. Email me. I'll send you a prize. Great comment right there.
You get a mug.
All right, moving along here. Verdict, I said pay on a short-term backup level deal if Willis is willing to accept one in the range of $5 to $8 million. He knows the system, and his athletic upside is worth keeping around. You don't break the bank for a backup, but you also don't let a valuable and affordable asset walk out the door for nothing. A 1 or 2 year deal feels like the right move for both sides if he does not get approached for a starting quarterback opportunity. That's going to be the big question.
Yep.
And here's what I'm saying with this, guys. It sounds like I'm kind of straddling the fence. It's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm saying if I was the GM, I would go to Malik and go, hey, what do you think about a 2-year, $16 million deal, right, with $8 million guaranteed? We'll do it right now. We'll sign it. We'll cut you $8 million check right now. And keep in mind, he's been on a 3rd-round contract, so he hasn't made much money.
Right.
That's a little bit of that'd be a little bit like, okay, it might perk his ears up a little bit. Now, he may go, nope, I'm hitting the market, right? Now, from his mind's eye and his agency's approach, they've got to look at it like, hey, what if we hit the market and we only get $2 million? We may not sniff $8 million guaranteed. You know what I mean? That's how I would approach it from Goody's standpoint. And if he comes back and says, no, I want $15 million per, ain't doing it. Or, again, $8 million is the most I would go on a backup quarterback. That's just me personally. So what do you guys think about Malik Willis? You doing it or not doing it?
I would say pay, and I'm with you. The ideal range and what you want to really spend on a backup. But I will say this, clearly Malik has proven his worth. Thank God we had him. Thank goodness Goody fleeced him out of Tennessee and made him a Packer, man, because I know we like Sean Clifford and everything. I just feel really good about Malik Willis and his ability to just kind of give our offense a totally different look with him in there. A lot of times you think the backup, just a good backup will come in and just keep running the offense. That's true to an extent, but it's also kind of cool when you get a read option guy like Malik Willis that you can kind of, change up your game plan a little bit and attack teams differently, which allows you to stay creative and be fresh on film. And then your starter comes back and you revert back to maybe what you were doing before. So kind of like what we saw last year, between starts with him and Jordan Love. So I think if he's willing to take a deal like that, that would be awesome. And I say, yeah, absolutely get it done. But at the end of the day, you also don't want to, hurt somebody's progress. And if he can get more money on the open market and maybe more opportunities to play football going to another team, it's tough. But yeah, the fan in me would like him to be our backup for the foreseeable future. I just don't know, can you pay $12-13 million for a backup? I don't think you can do it.
Right. And how do you think he feels on the team that actually took a chance on him and said,
Right.
hey, I think that you can be something, instead of, what the Titans did to him, poor guy. I mean, they just dragged him through the mud over there and said, all right, yeah, we'll get you for a 7th. Like, we wasted that 3rd rounder on you. Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah. And then Taylor Lewan, his former teammate, literally going into the season, the guy that's on Bussin' with the Boys with Will Compton, he said, Malik's a great guy, but he just doesn't get it. He can't play quarterback. He can't read a defense. He just can't. He's not smart enough. And then he plays 2 games for Green Bay and plays lights out and makes Taylor Lewan look like an absolute moron, which I love. It's like, why say that about a former teammate? It's just so, I don't know, it's just weird, strange. Right. 2-0 for this says, I'm really hoping Jordan is playing at the game. I'm going to, but if Willis is in, I'll be content. I love this comment, 2-0 for this, because
we lived it, Clay.
I'm telling you, that's how I feel. Is like, for so long, we fielded rosters that if Aaron Rodgers got hurt, we're screwed. Like, there's no chance we're winning this game. Like, Matt Flynn gave us the most hope. I didn't feel near as good about Matt Flynn, although he had that one game that everybody still talks about that got him paid, right? But it's just always like, if Aaron goes down, we're screwed. It's over, right? I don't feel like that with Malik Willis being the backup. But to me, that's worth $8 or $10 million per year, not of my own money, of course. But
right.
You know what I mean? It's just like, you don't understand what I'm saying, Emilio? Like, it's nice to know, hey, if Jordan does get banged up, Malik, I'll do it every single time. Anytime that Malik Willis enters the game as a quarterback, you're going to see me on Twitter put up the Steamin' Willie Beeman tweet that I always put up. And I always go, hear me out. And it's Willie Beeman and that clip of him going in for Dennis Quaid in any given Sunday and just electrifying everything. That's how I felt with Malik Willis, man.
Yeah, as a confidence factor, him coming in, it's absolutely huge. I think as like a fan factor, when we went down to Tennessee, it was like, dude, I can't wait to see. We still haven't seen Jordan play in person, or I haven't. I don't know if you went to another game, but I still haven't seen Jordan play in person. I only saw, Aaron play twice. So missing out on that, I was not mad at all, because the way Malik handled it, the way he held himself, he's looking to his teammates. He's looking above, all those things that keep him grounded. that just put his mind in focus short time there in Green Bay. Let's go out, let's put up for the team. And he absolutely did that. And just the way he carried himself out the field, Clay, the interview and everything. I mean, dude's humble. That's a perfect Packer guy as well. Build the team from the locker room out, and you have there's something different with the chemistry, man.
Yeah, it's true.
I agree.
Let's go back to the chat real quick. Murph, good to see you, Murph. Cheesehead Murph says, I think Malik would definitely want to go play somewhere else if he wants the opportunity to start. And that's the big question, right? Is there a team out there that hate their quarterback situation so much that they'd be willing to go, okay, let's give Malik $15 million per, and bring him in there and give him a shot to be our starting quarterback. Usually you try to look at front office executives and personnel that are now with other teams that might have been with Tennessee when they drafted him, because we're over here like Tim and I, we've made fun of Tennessee to beat the band, right? The fact that they gave him up for a 7th-round pick. But the reality is it was a whole different regime that did that, right? They weren't the team that drafted him. And it just so happens that the general manager at the time, his name was John Thompson or something like that. It's kind of one of those names, just 123.5% Caucasian name. But he was the one who drafted Malik Willis, and he actually came up the ranks through Green Bay's front office system. So I firmly believe that when Tennessee was shopping him, Goody reached out to his old friend, whoever that guy was, and said, hey, how did you feel about Malik Willis? Oh, yeah, he's a real deal. They're not using him right. Cool, let's give him a 7th-round pick for him. So there might be another part of that front office executive tree, just like a coaching tree, embedded somewhere else. If we did enough research, we could probably find those teams and go, hey, they might be willing to give him a shot at a starting quarterback spot, because that's kind of how the NFL works, how it unfolds. Yep. Solder in the chat said, how many teams will be looking for a starting quarterback in 26? That will tell if Willis would take $8 million guaranteed. And here's the thing, Solder. The projection right now, we were going to do a college football breakdown tonight, but we don't have time. Probably do it tomorrow. We're just going to give you guys a quick glimpse of, hey, getting ready for college ball. Here are the top prospects, right, that are going to be coming out into the draft next year. So we get a chance to get ahead of the game and say, okay, here's the players you want to look for on Saturdays, right? But just so you know, as it sits right now with the consensus big board, 6 quarterbacks are projected to go in the first round. 6. So that kind of plays into what Solder's saying here, or against what Solder's saying, and gives me a little more hope that, hey, it's going to be oversaturated. Again, the price of a commodity, the price of a good or a service, it isn't determined by what you think it's worth. It's by supply and demand, right? If there's a low supply, there's going to be a higher demand. Therefore, the prices are going to increase, right? It's inflation 101. We're not going to get political. I promise. Somebody went, oh, no, he's going to do it. Not going to do it. All right. But if you've got 6 quarterbacks that are going to be drafted in the first round next year, plus you're going to have a handful of, 2 or 3 free agent quarterbacks that might be better than Malik Willis, chances are that market's not going to be too hot for him. And I guarantee you that's what his agent's looking at too. It's going, hey, you're trying to project the market, just like you're selling a house or anything else, right? Selling a property. What's the market going to look like in 6 months? Do we sell now? Do we sell later? Do we get more aggressive with the price now? Do we wait till later to do that? All those things are becoming a factor. But, yeah, Solder, 6 projected first-round picks at quarterback, so for what that's worth. Ed Madden said, as soon as injuries hit at quarterback, teams will be calling, but I wouldn't trade him at all this year. I'm still on that second-round pick, guys. If somebody offered me a second for Malik, as much as I love having steaming Willie Beeman on the bench, I'm running that trade through the system as quick as possible, Emilio. I'm second. Now, third, kind of appealing, but for me, it'd have to be a second-round pick.
Third would be a wash to where he got selected, right? So I think anything, if you can profit better than where he was picked originally, I think you've made out on a screaming deal. That is a fleece that, they won't say that it's a fleece, right? You got a great deal for him, just a second for Malik because the Packers made him look so good, because Matt LaFleur made him look good, and wherever he goes. But yeah, I was listening to Move the Sticks and DJ and Buck. They were talking about those one suit guys, right? You don't need to bring an extra suitcase. You don't need to bring extra pairs of suits. You are going to be there for one night and one night only, man. And you're getting selected. And he said there's going to be a lot of them in the first round there. So I do think that having that saturated market could push Malik down. Maybe he does hang out for another year or two. You get him on a cheap. and then that down year or wherever the down year for quarterbacks is, he can kind of take advantage of it.
It's true. I agree. Maybe it wouldn't even take 8 million guaranteed. Maybe 6 million guaranteed does it, depending on what the market looks like.
Right.
Anything to keep him around for a couple more years, I'm all for it.
Yep. All right, let's go back to the chat real quick and see what everybody's saying. Deadfish says, any guy giving his socks to a homeless man on the street is someone I want on my team.
Yep.
That video is awesome. And what's so great about that video is he didn't think anybody was looking. You know, this was filmed from like a coffee shop or something, right?
Yep.
And the guy's like, you know, you can just tell the guy's like, what's that dude doing? Breaks out his camera. Malik Willis at the combine, okay, coming out of college, going to the combine, passes a homeless guy on the streets of Indianapolis, stops, opens up his suitcase, and is giving him clothes out of his own suitcase. Stuff that he was going to use that week of the combine, right? Obviously. Just, I want that dude on my team too. You see, y'all going to talk me into $12 million now.
No problem. Yeah,
that's the thing, right? Like
TV deals are coming anyway, right, Clay? Don't worry about it.
Tim, what did we start the show with, Tim? We're building a team, not collecting
talent. That's right. And that's why you look at our backup. I mean, look at Malik Willis. That guy is franchise quarterback material, right? I mean, the guy's attitude, just his whole approach, type of person he is, type of teammate he is, involved in the community, great leader. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to meet the person that doesn't love Malik Willis. I don't want to know who that is at all.
Completely agree, man. Completely agree. All right, moving along here. Blake B said, I was at the Matt Flynn game, LOL. I was so disappointed seeing Aaron on the sidelines with a beanie and an AFAM mustache. Holmes MD1 says, Willis is an underrated quarterback for sure. He can get it done for sure. Banked reps. He did everything we had. And here's the thing. It wasn't just like, yeah, they molded the run game around him a little bit, but he made some throws. That back shoulder throw to Christian Watson, I mean, he had a couple darts. I was like, yeah, he's got that. He kind of got that Mike Vick flick of the wrist. You know what I'm talking about? How Mike would just kind of the vertical pop of the elbow and just turn that thing loose. Malik can spin that. He can shoot that field, man.
The same thing, just like Michael Vick had to deal with in his career. We had to hear about how, he's just a runner. He can't throw. He's a running quarterback. We can watch Michael Vick highlights all day of him launching absolute missiles down the field. And, you know, to your point about Malik, I see that in his game too. His ability to roll out and be mobile, hit those quick throws too, but he can air it out and put that ball downfield with some accuracy. So it's fun to watch.
Yeah. As soon as he came out of the clink too, he got with Andy Reid, and boy, he become a pocket passer quick, didn't he?
Yep.
Like that happened. I mean, he took him to the playoffs that year. I just remember that we smoked that head for him. That's the year we won the Super Bowl, if you'll remember.
Yes,
I'll never forget Clay Matthews running Michael Vick down from behind. And then on the way back to the huddle, he said, I got your speed, Vic. I got your speed. I was like, God, I love Clay Matthews, man. Wish they could clone that dude and bring him back. Deadfish says Willis has talent. He has arm talent and can run. I'm telling you, the arm talent's there, man. I agree. She said, Murph said, if you get a third for him, it's amazing. Yeah, Murph, if I were to poll that right now and say, hey, would you be willing to take a third-round pick for Malik Willis, yes or no? I guarantee you I would be in the minority. It'd probably be 92% saying yes. So I think the large, vast majority is with you, Murph. Me personally, I just don't know, man. I think it would take a second for me because I just selfish reasons. I love having Steamin' Willie Beeman on the bench, man. I can't get over it. I'm telling you, especially after seeing it firsthand. So since we only got a few minutes here, we got like 5 minutes, guys. That's all that list. These are the tough decisions with millions of dollars in the future of the franchise on the line. I want to know what you think. Drop a comment below and let me know which of these 5 players do you pay and who you let walk. Okay, so if you're watching this video back, you wasn't on the live stream, let us know. Hit us up in the comments. Let us know about all 5 of those players, and you can just list them out. Number 1, so-and-so, yes. Number 2, so-and-so, no. Number 3, Romeo Dobbs, yes, whatever. Let us know in the comments. We appreciate y'all tuning in. Since we got a few minutes, let's jump over and look at those quarterbacks I was telling you guys about. All right, Emilio, I know this is going to be important for you playing college football 26 right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've been putting in the hours, just road to glory. Got to make sure you get your studies up. Make sure don't skimp on doing the studying early, man. You get those 3 years and you can get out. You don't have to go to school the 4th year. Now we're talking.
I seen a YouTube thumbnail. Tim, do you know what he's talking about, by the way?
No.
There's a mode. There's a mode in the
That's
college
good, I'll
football
tell you.
video. There's a mode in the college football video game called Road to Glory.
Yep.
And basically, you create a high school player, and you play through your senior year of high school, like the important moments, and then you get
You
recruited.
go Uncle Rico style back to high school. Back in '82, man, I could throw a football over them mountains over there.
Always.
You get recruited to college, and when you get to college, you got to make decisions along the way. There was a thumbnail popped up on my YouTube feed the other day, and it was the funniest thumbnail. It was a guy that looked like he was 43 years old. He had a mustache, an AFM mustache, but it was blonde, and he was holding 2 beers and had a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. And he said, "I played Road to Glory and made every bad decision on purpose to see what would happen." I guess he was drinking, smoking, not studying. Dude, it was hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so the top quarterbacks, this is what we were talking about. This is what's going to determine the market value of the quarterback position going into free agency, right? Because the reality is NFL general managers want to draft a franchise quarterback. That's what they want to do. If they're in a position to do so, they want to do that. Here are the top quarterbacks according to the consensus big board over at NFL Mock Draft Database as it sits right now on July the 13th, 2025, the year of our Lord here, okay? Cade Klubnik. I've heard some people say Klubnik and Klubnik. I think it's Klubnik out of Clemson. So he's down there with Dabo Sweeney. Right now, the consensus big board has him as the number 1 quarterback coming out of Clemson and going number 1 to the New Orleans Saints. Number 2, Garrett Nussmeier, quarterback out of LSU down there with Brian Kelly. He's going number 2 to the Cleveland Browns. So they're going to have Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, and Garrett Nussmeier if they were to fall in that number 2 spot and this were to come into play. Number 3, Arch Manning. That's Peyton Manning's nephew. All right, quarterback out of Texas, going number 5 to the New York Jets.
Ugh,
Number
poor kid.
7, number 7 on the list is Lenoris Sellers, electrifying.
Yes, that's who DJ was talking about. He said this guy will be a 1-2 guy. Let me tell you what, he's got everything.
His arm is just as good as his ability to scramble, man. It's unbelievable. So Lenoris Sellers out of South Carolina going number 7 to the Raiders. Number 8, Fernando Mendoza, quarterback out of Indiana, going number 8 to the Indianapolis Colts. That would be electrifying there. Number 13 is Drew Aller, quarterback out of Penn State. He's going number 15 to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, so again, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quarterbacks projected as it sits right now on July 13th to go in the first round of next year's draft. This is going to shake up, guys. There's going to be a guy or two here that probably falls out of this first-round list, but there's probably going to be a couple guys that climb into the first-round list. Remember Tyler Shuck last year? I know he didn't get drafted in the first round, but he came out of nowhere, which, by the way, did we not call that one? Remember us talking 2 weeks before the draft going, boy, Greg Cosell's raving over Tyler Shuck, and it sounds like front office executives also messaged him after the pod and said, yeah, you're spot on. 2 things with that. It lends credibility to Greg Cosell, that he knows what the hell he's doing. So when we talk about him breaking down the tape, please listen, not because we're smart, because he is, but also the fact that he's so plugged in that NFL executives are texting him. Not only are they texting him going, we agree with you, but they're listening to his content, right?
Yep.
Worth mentioning. But what do you guys think about this, the quarterback position coming into the draft here? Tim, you got anything you want to add to it? If not, Amelia, I know you're fresh off playing college football 26 and already putting your marriage in jeopardy. But what do you guys think about this list?
Your wife knew what she was signing up for, right, Amelia? She knew what she was getting.
Oh yeah. I know you've seen those clips, right, Clay? They're already going into marriage counseling because he's over there trying to.
They had a marriage counselor at the ceremony, Tim.
Oh
They're
man,
like, let's get a jump on this.
But no, that's it, man. I mean, it all starts with the quarterback. They're the most important player. There's literally a separate draft for the quarterbacks. We talk about it each year, right? So, when you have that kind of talent, when they're carrying these kind of teams around, on their back, you got a lot of players on that team. You got a lot of personalities. If they can handle it, if they can handle the big scene, I mean, that's it. Think about all these teams. I mean, Clemson's huge. You're running down the hill to get in there. You got to go down to LSU, but you got to go into Texas, South Carolina, all these, Penn State. I mean, so the state, the stadium's not going to be too bright for them. I think it's all going to come down to performance, right? And then how are they able to handle themselves as a personal level? Those interviews that we don't get to see? How do they handle the talking to the coordinators? Can they process plays? What are all these things? And I mean, right now, Sellers is the dog. I mean, I think he's going to be big. We're going to see kind of what Manning does, but right now Sellers is the man, and you can basically do whatever you want with him on the game too. I mean, that guy's got it going on.
Tim, you got anything to add to this college football quarterback talk here? I'm glad we got in.
I mean, I'm glad we got this in because when it comes to Malik Willis possibly signing a little extension with us here, it looks like there's a chance. You're telling me there's a chance. We got some QBs coming into the league here.
See?
Yeah. AFAM in the chat says Emilio divorced his last wife for accidentally overwriting his franchise mode progress.
No, always have a double save. Always have a double save. You can never trust the auto saves. Let me tell you what.
I heard it was because she double parked the race car bed and got it towed.
Got a boot on it.
Actually did go downtown. Clay got a parking ticket, so I don't know what I did wrong there. Thought I entered it all right, but what we're discussing that one currently.
But it's a sweet ass bed.
It is
grandma's
a
boy.
sweet one.
I think I'm going to get a CB radio so I can talk to other race car beds.
Exactly. Ed Madden asked a tough question, but which one of these 6 will work out in the NFL? If I had to put my money on one of these 6 making it at the next level, I'm going Arch Manning.
Yeah. How do you bet against a Manning? Right.
I followed Arch when he got recruited out of high school. I'll never forget this play I saw. They were in an indoor facility. He was working out for scouts, and he took a shotgun snap. And during his drop back, he flipped the ball, spun it completely around twice, and then patted. And when he went to throw, flipped it one more time and just turned it loose on a dime, 55 yards down the field, in stride to the receiver. I went, that's different. Now, Manning's going to talk good about his nephew. Peyton's going to talk good about his nephew. There's no two ways about that, right? But he said, this kid has twice as much arm talent as I ever had. That's coming from Peyton. Now, Peyton's ability to read and dissect the defense is what set him apart. Nobody's arguing with that, right? It's not like his arm talent was Dan Marino talent. It was his mind, his ability to process, and his accuracy was good, right? Arch Manning, I think he's a real deal. Now, here's a little teaser for you guys. I don't want to give away too much information, but little birdie the other day passed wind to me that, not broke wind, but passed wind. Passed word to me that Peyton had his son Marshall. Okay, his son's named Marshall, and he's in middle school, about to go to high school, right? Little birdie told me that Peyton Manning had Marshall touring a school in Chattanooga. I'm going to keep the school nameless right now because I don't want to get anybody in trouble because this is someone pretty high up there. He had Marshall touring a high school, Baylor. I'll just say it. All right. Baylor High School in Chattanooga. Baylor is quickly becoming a pipeline for the University of Tennessee. So and you're going, what does this matter, Clay? Well, who cares? Here's why it's a big deal. Peyton and his family live in Colorado because he's a part of the Denver organization right now, helping run the Denver Broncos, right? So if he's going back and filling out applications to potentially get his son in a high school in Tennessee, roughly, how far away is Chattanooga from?
Hour and change.
Yeah, just like an hour and 10 minutes, right? So are they setting this up to where he can go down there and get coaching that the University of Tennessee is familiar with so he can have his son Marshall go to the University of Tennessee and play quarterback? I think that's kind of cool. So why is this important? Listen, if you care about the history of the game of football, it's important. You have Arch Manning, the grandpappy. He went to Ole Miss, right? And then, of course, Cooper, which is Arch Manning, the grandson who's named after Archie Manning. Cooper Manning got hurt. He was a receiver, really, really good receiver. He got hurt. He had some kind of, I want to say it was some kind of degenerative disease or something that basically ended his football career, right? Well, he didn't get to go and play at the next level. But you had Eli Manning chose to go to his dad's alma mater, Ole Miss. You had Peyton chose to go to the University of Tennessee and write his own story, right? And now you've got Arch Manning who is at Texas writing his own story, right? And that was Cooper's son. Now you got Marshall Manning, Peyton's son, potentially positioning himself to be in the state of Tennessee and go to the University of Tennessee. It's just cool, man. It's cool. So now, will Marshall be as good as Arch? I don't know. But anybody who, is a little bit older, if anybody who's hearing my voice that's 50 years old, 60 years old, when I say Archie Manning, you go, oh, that dude was a dog for the New Orleans Saints, right? They never won the big one because they had a trash team. But just wanted to put that out there since we were talking about college ball. Emilio, would Knoxville not go absolutely crazy?
Dude, you can still walk into gas stations down here, and they still have Peyton playing in his UT outfit as a Gatorade sponsor. I'm not you literally can walk into any gas station down here, and they still have him in it. It's crazy, and they bleed orange down here. So I'm telling you, you bring another Manning back, it would be sold out for 4 years straight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Rod Jens in the chat says the pressure on Manning must be intense. What's crazy too is where he's different from Peyton. He's got a much better arm. Don't get me wrong, but they said he got some swag to him. Peyton, 110% Caucasian. That dude, I remember going to a Kenny Chesney concert in Neyland Stadium that set records. It was an outdoor all-day event. There was some people south. Let me tell you, it was Brooks and Dunn, Kenny Chesney, Deanna Carter, Uncle Cracker was there. Not my Uncle Cracker, but your Uncle Cracker. It was wild. Peyton Manning came out on stage with Kenny and sang "Back Where I Come From," which is a song about Knoxville, the Knoxville area that Kenny wrote about it. That boy has no rhythm whatsoever. He came out there in cowboy boots, and I went, "Peyton gonna sing? Ooh, Peyton gonna sing." It was bad. It was really
terrible.
But they say Arch has just got some swag to him. His team.
And I could have swore I saw a video where he had given or they were saying he's going to be great or whatever. He goes, no, I haven't proven myself yet. I haven't done enough. Ideally I'd like to get there, obviously, but he's humble, right? So I feel like you have to be. If you walk in with that kind of name and you're my stuff doesn't stink kind of guy, I think that's a problem. I think people are going to kind of get rubbed the wrong way. He's definitely carrying himself the right way through it.
Yeah. Zacchaeus Earls in the chat said Arch is more athletic. I'm a UT fan, and he will get out of the pocket and scramble for a first down. It's going to be fun watching him play this year, Zacchaeus. I'm with you. He's way more athletic than Peyton. Peyton could not run. He couldn't run to the mailbox, but boy, oh boy, he can read a defense like the back of his hand. So, all right, we're way over. We got talking a little college ball, got carried away. But I do want to mention this. Nico Iamaleava here, that dude was the #1 recruit in the entire country, right? And look how far he's fallen. He's down to 77 now. He's the guy who transferred, entered the transfer portal right the night before the UT spring game. Mm-hmm. His dad is going to cause problems. His dad, Emilio, I know you know all about it. And just really quickly, for anybody who doesn't know, Nico Iamaleava's dad is pulling the strings trying to get these NIL deals for his son and this and that. Boy, NFL general managers are going to go, I don't know if we want to deal with this head case. That's going to be a real thing. I think that's why you see him sinking on the list. And also Carson Beck. Tim, remember we did our college football preview last year? Carson Beck was the top quarterback last year.
Georgia.
Yeah. And now he's with Miami, and he's down to 141 now. So pretty wild how quickly things change. So, all right, boys, anything else y'all want to hit on before we wrap up here?
No, I don't think so. Glad to be back. Missed everybody.
Yeah, welcome back, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate it. Yes.
Congratulations. All right, we're out of here, gang. Sorry we went over. Man, we got 250 people in here watching. Appreciate y'all making us part of your evening. If you would, hit that like button. If you're new here, thank you for tuning in to PTA. We go live daily. During the season, we do pregame show, postgame show. We do film study. We're going to do some film breakdown of Edgerrin Cooper tonight, but got carried away. The chat was on fire, so we appreciate everybody hanging out with us. We'll be back tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Central Time, where we will definitely do the Edgerrin Cooper Chalk Talk, and we'll also get into a couple other topics that we got lined up for y'all. So, Emilio, Tim, thank y'all for your time. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world, and go Pack Go.
There we go.
Nice.
Bye, guys.